Welcome everyone to the 2020 Candidates Town Hall. The Rossmoor Homeowners Association is proud to be able to offer this event every 2 years as part of our service to our members and the community as a whole. I am Joe Shade, board member and coordinator of special events, and will be your host for the evening. Marion Last and Beverly Houghton will be our moderators. Frank Facey will be our timer for the evening. The event is being brought to you live by LATV, Facebook, and on YouTube as well. It will also be repeated on LATV up until the day of election, November 3rd. May I please introduce our first candidate up? That will be, I believe that's Congressman Lowenthal.
Hello. Okay. Congressman Lowenthal and Mr. Briscoe, we will be asking both of you to do an introduction of yourself, and if you could please include some of your educational background for the audience. You will have 2 minutes, and the timer will give you a 1-minute heads up, or I may do that because we're on virtual at the moment, and then there'll also be a 30-second acknowledgement. Go ahead, Congressman.
Thank you. My name is Alan Lowenthal, and I'm serving in my 4th term in the House of Representatives, representing the 47th District, which includes Rossmoor. I've been a resident of Long Beach for 5 decades, and I was a professor of community psychology at Cal State Long Beach for nearly 30 years, and I received my doctorate, my PhD, from The Ohio State University. Before joining Congress in 2013, I was also a community activist, a 2-term city council member in Long Beach, and served both as a California Assembly member and a state senator. I championed efforts to independent redistricting commission and also led legislative efforts to revamp the state's K-12 and higher education system, including leading the efforts to create the College Promise Partnership Act and the Student Success Act. In Congress, I'm a member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and the House Natural Resources Committee, where I chair the Subcommittee on Energy and Mineral Resources. I've worked tirelessly on environmental issues, including addressing climate change, preserving our federal lands for future generations, and preventing offshore oil drilling along our coast. I've worked to successfully bring much needed federal resources to our district and to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. On the Rossmoor Homeowners Association website, I've described my positions on healthcare, climate change, immigration policy, human rights, and the challenges that this pandemic has created to our economy. I have always believed that listening to my constituents and to my colleagues in the House on both sides of the aisle is one of the most effective ways to address the issues that are important to the 47th District. I look forward to listening to all of you today and taking your questions.
Thank you, Congressman.
Mr. Briscoe, would you be so kind and give us your background and include your educational information as well? Thank you.
I'm John Briscoe. I hold 2 master's degrees, an MBA and an MBA from Congressional University. I have 2 undergraduate baccalaureates from Cal State Long Beach in speech communication and in psychology. I'm currently a doctoral candidate at the National University.
Is it on the maximum?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. So that's my educational background. Way too much education, and a lot of experience. Well, I grew up and was raised in Long Beach. My mother still lives in Long Beach. I live in Orange County. I'm in Orange County. I'm running in Orange County. It's a great place to live. I want it that way. I've been elected 4 times. That's 16 years at the end of this term. To the local school board that include Huntington Beach, Steel Beach, Mountain Valley, Westminster, and Midway City. We've done great things in the district where I'm elected. I'm most proud of it. Real providing continuing program for anybody with grandkids, nieces, nephews, or children. That the program is teaching the same approach to providing for the entire period of time.
Thank you. Do I get to start over again? Bonus minutes? Was my speech
It's
gathered?
been recorded. It's recording.
Oh, great. Thank you. So we have, in my district, you can come to our district too, by the way. It's a bit of a drive from Los Al, but it'd be worth it. We teach the children how to write and how to write well. We teach the children cursive writing in 3rd grade that state law requires. We teach our children how to take in-class oral lecture notes, and we pick them up and we grade them, unlike most other school districts. We are a rigorous, almost private school working district, and I'm proud of that. I'll be the education congressman. The 4 issues I'm concerned about most, first and foremost, is homelessness. People are tired of people sleeping on curb sidewalks, and I have a plan to fix that. The second issue that I'm going to work on and fix is our health care problem and programs. The third is immigration, and the fourth is infrastructure, and I'll pause on that for a moment because many people in this audience in Los Alamitos, Rossmoor don't know that that's an end. Well, we have a lot to do with our harbor. That concludes my comments.
Mr. Briscoe, the question we have for you and the Congressman will be, how do you see faith-based organizations, non-governmental organizations, and the United States government working together to help in the response to recovery from the devastating fires, floods, and other disasters that continue to plague our country?
I'm a Rotarian. I'm a member of LA 5 El Rodeo. I'm an optimist, HB City optimist, and my wife is a Kiwanis member. She invests tremendous time as the advisor for Marina High School, Key Club, and Key Winds. These are examples of non-governmental organizations, NGOs, who volunteer incredible time. I'm an assistant scoutmaster, and I work with youth in addition to my school board role. So non-governmental organizations contribute hugely to our community and will help support the family and the security of our children in their families back into a normal working world and role. I think our local government should reach out and ask all of these organizations to help and support getting out of the COVID thing. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Lowenthal.
First, I have to say these wildfires are devastating, and the role of government will be, I think, to really deal with how do we begin to prevent some of these problems? How are we going to move us off a carbon-based economy and move us towards renewable energy, renewable sources of energy that will not contribute to the tremendous amounts of drought, wildfires, and also sea level rise that is going on. But on the ground, it's going to be the faith-based organizations, the NGOs, volunteers who are really going to be the people that help us get through this crisis. We can set overall goals. We can move. We're going to save people by having people step up and volunteer their time and energy.
Thank you. The next question, gentlemen, and that'll be Congressman Lowenthal. You go up first, and that would be, how would you protect Social Security for today's seniors and strengthen it for future generations?
Well, that's a great question, and we have to ensure that the Social Security Trust Fund and the Medicare are protected. We know that, and we have to make sure that that the funding for those continues and that nobody steps into doing anything like that. I think some of the ways in which we're going to make sure that that trust fund stays for not just this generation, but future generations, is that we ensure that those that can contribute more, we raise in terms of Social Security, the floor. Right now, it's only, I think, the first $110,000. We need to raise that higher so that we're not only protecting now, but we're protecting future generations from such. So we have to make sure that no one raids the trust fund, and we increase resources into the trust fund.
Thank you. Mr. Briscoe?
I have bad news for anybody here that's approaching Social Security. There is no such thing as the so-called lockbox, the security lockbox that was referred to several presidents ago. Social Security is an entitlement that's funded every year out of every budget. There's an actuarial, meaning how long people live and how much they'll consume, that posits it'll run out, I think, in 2030. And that may be the trust fund that people talk about. But there's no pile of money sitting in there just ready and willing. It's a big problem. It's a big ripoff if people think that they put money in a lockbox, because the lockbox is empty. I'm not big on raising taxes. We already pay 16% of our taxes to Social Security. My interest is to raise the age of taking Social Security. People don't live short like they used to. They live long, and we can extend the age out, which protects the Social Security ability to pay for itself.
Thank you. Next question, Mr. Briscoe, you'll go first. Mr. Lowenthal, second. On which issue will you work with members of the other party immediately after taking office?
I'm a Republican. I'm the Republican Party nominee for this district. I'm an elected official, and I work with all parties and all people. One of my dearest friends and political ally in my school board role and in Huntington Beach in our municipal politics and in Orange County is an individual who is a huge, looming large Democrat. I have many Democrat friends. I'll work with all Democrats on any project at all times. I'll give an open ear and listen. Doesn't mean I'll agree, but I'll work with any Democrat on anything that needs to be worked on, and I do that now and currently.
Since my first term in Congress, I've worked with many Republican colleagues on numerous issues. In fact, nearly half the bills I have introduced in the 116th Congress have included Republican co-sponsors, and I've co-sponsored numerous Republican bills in this. So there are three things that we need to do. First, the pandemic has presented a myriad challenges that must be dealt with immediately. It must be our primary focus. We must work together to ensure that Americans have the economic relief that they need. We must work together to make sure that a vaccine is safely developed and distributed, and we get the economy then back on its feet to get American work. In addition, as I talked before, climate change remains an existential threat. I think that it's really, as we move forward, this distinction between Republican and Democrat has diminished tremendously, and I think we can really work together on climate change issues. And the third point is, it is time for us again to become the leader in protecting human rights throughout the world. I am the co-chair of the Vietnamese caucus.
We're done. Thank you. Thank you for gentlemen for working with us on keeping with the time frames. It's greatly appreciated, trust me. We do have time for one more question of both candidates, if you will, and Congressman Lowenthal, you'll go first. Mr. Briscoe, you'll go second. It's our last question to you before we do our concluding statements of the two of you. Congressman, what are your views of the immigration policy? How can your views blend with members of the other party and can be implemented in a timely manner?
Well, as I pointed out, this is my fourth term in Congress. And in my first term, there was a comprehensive immigration bill that came out of the United States Senate that had 80 votes on it. It was bipartisan. Immigration should not be a partisan issue. That bill never came up in the House. We need to work together. I think that all of us want to have a safe and secure immigration policies. And I think that we can build a tremendous coalition again to fix a broken system in the future. And I don't see any reason, just as we did in 2013, we cannot have bipartisan support.
Thank you. Mr. Briscoe.
Immigration is one of my key concerns. I have 3 points I'll make. First, We own our border. It's our border. We own the ports. We own the airports. We own all the access, ingress, egress, in and out you go. And it's our job to keep those borders protected. Otherwise, we don't have a country. So my first interest is to secure our borders, our ports, and our airports. Borders can be secured with airplanes, sensors, drones, all kinds of different systems, but we must control our border to make sure who comes into the country belongs here. Second is our health care system. But the immigration, the second point is the family chain migration. We like to bring Granny and Auntie in because the family that sponsors them must promise that they don't ever go on welfare and use Social Security. It's a great program. And then third is a legal path to citizenship and participation in our great country for people here.
Thank you. Wow, perfect. We'll now move on to our closing remarks. And Mr. Briscoe, would you go first? You have 1 minute.
But it's so short. I'm John Briscoe. Second on your ballot on one half, LA, and first on your ballot in Orange County. Vote for John Briscoe. You'll be voting for an active and an interested and an experienced individual. I've governed. I've spent 16 years at the end of this term governing, and I know the system. I know how to do that. And my positions, I believe, match the community of Los Alamitos and Rossmoor. And my concerns are the concerns of yours. Something happened. Hello. Dr. Lowenthal, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Briscoe. Congressman Lowenthal, please.
Well, thank you. And I want to thank you and the Rossmoor Homeowners Association for the questions. It's interesting. I want to thank for your opinions and your thoughts. The bottom line, though, is we're all in this together. At the end of the day, I truly believe that most of us want many of the same things. We want to have a chance to get ahead. We want to have a chance to provide security for our families and our loved ones. We want to have the ability to be happy and healthy and to be treated equally and fairly. While we may differ on how we get there or how we make these things happen, pardon?
30 seconds.
I do believe that these things are important to all of us. No matter how my ideology may differ from you, I want you to know that I want all these things, not just for each of us, but for every American. Lastly, I want you to know that I'm your representative in Congress. I'm going to continue to listen to you, continue to work for you, and to continue to help you when you need it. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. That now concludes the section on the congressional candidates, and we want to encourage those viewing to certainly voice your opinion at the ballot, with your ballot. And we thank you both, and we thank the audience out there for hanging in there with us with the virtual experience. I guess that's the day, what we do best in this day and age. And we want to thank all the staff here that has made this work fluidly. Thank you again.